Ross with Rossco Rambles again, episode 1.5, the video that probably should have come first. Decided that I need to make a video talking about the subject matter that I'll be covering, where you can find me, and a few ways you can help the channel out if you'd be so kind. So I will be covering more the technical side of the firearms world. It will be things like the manufacturing process, some of the metallurgy and material science, as well as some of the chemistry and physics of the firearms world. For an example, my next video will be covering anodizing. And while that does not pertain solely to the firearms world, it's a critical part of modern firearms, and is perhaps something that is not as well understood as it needs to be to have a knowledgeable discussion. You'll be able to find me on YouTube. The channel is just Rossco Rambles, as well as I will be posting all future videos only to the Rossco 545 account. This will be the only one posted to the Rossco 762 account. You'll also be able to find me, if you're friends and I know you, on my personal Facebook profile, as well as I will be making a Facebook group that will have these videos. So if you know someone who would like to, who you think would enjoy them, you can invite them in. A little bit easier than you can with Instagram. Some of the ways that you can help the channel, first and foremost, the biggest one for me is I slip into jargon a lot, and I don't necessarily realize that I'm doing it, and some of these terms need to be explained within their context. A good example of this is strong versus tough. Within the normal vocabulary, they mean something fairly similar. You would say someone who's tough, you could also say that they're fairly strong, typically. Within the material science world, they're almost exact opposites. Tough means that it can undergo deformation and then without a ultimate failure, right? It doesn't actually break apart. So you would describe Play-Doh as being very tough because you can stretch it out and it doesn't shatter into 1,000 pieces. Whereas you would describe something like tungsten carbide to be very strong. It resists that deformation, but when it finally gets the enough stress in it that it does start to deform, it breaks. It undergoes a tensile failure or a compression failure or whatever other failure it may undergo, and it's now in two pieces. And so I will slip in and I will use those terms without realizing that I'm doing it. And you're not going to be the only one who's like, the heckins does he mean? Put it in the comments because someone else is wondering the same thing, so please do that. On top of that, I would like to know what I can improve upon. I know my last video was a little wordy and I went over the same thing perhaps a few too many times, and I'm working on that. You understand that these are unscripted videos. In addition to that, just a comment that I know that you're seeing it helps. Same goes for my photos. I get a lot of my ideas for the videos that I'm going to do from those photos. So commenting on those always helps. And anyone who I've had a technical conversation with and you thought it was a cool or interesting conversation, I have a lot of those and I don't necessarily remember all of them. So if you could, hey, I really enjoyed when you yapped about this, let me know about that as well. And finally, the last thing that I'm going to cover, because it's been asked about, is one of the upcoming projects, which is of course Project Landfill Inferno, being the worst AR-15 that I can possibly build. It is absolutely still in the works. There's a few components that I'm having a hard time finding that are kind of critical to particularly the first video. It should be a series of videos. And on top of that, it's going to be a fairly high round count series. The goal is to shoot it until there is a major or a critical failure where something actually breaks or I can actually find, okay, this hole is starting to egg out. And the problem with that is that not only does it have to go through the worst AR-15 possible, it has to go through a more quality AR so that there's a similar round count. So we can log things like failure rates between the two of them, or the longevity of the two rifles. Yeah, that should be it. So anyway, thank you for watching. Please comment below if you like what you're watching. Let other people know, that always helps. And let me know what I can do better. Rossco out.